Hey everyone! I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to all of you who have subscribed. We've officially hit 11 subscribers. It might not seem like a lot, but to me it's incredible. And it means so much that you've decided to join this journey. But here's the wild part. Only 11% of you watching right now are actually subscribed. That means there's a whole bunch of you out there enjoying the content but haven't hit that subscribe button yet. So, if you're enjoying what you see, smash that like button and click subscribe to join our amazing community. And while you're at it, make sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, and the goal is to hit it by the end of 2025. I know we can make it happen with your support. Oh, and for a little fun, let's play a game in the comments. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. If you guess it, I'll pin your comment and give it a like. So, drop your guesses below. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Everyone remembers their senior ditch day. The one day we all skipped school with the unspoken blessing of the administration, knowing that we'd never get in trouble for it. For my friends and me, that day was supposed to be legendary. We had no idea it would end in tragedy. It was a warm spring morning in San Antonio, and we were ready for an adventure. My friends and I, Jamie, Milo, Kayla, Devin, and me, Lila, had spent weeks planning. We wanted to do something unforgettable, something that would cement us as legends in the halls of Cypress Ridge High School. Devin was the one who brought it up. "You guys ever hear about the tunnels?" he'd said over lunch a few days prior. Jamie rolled his eyes. "You mean those dumb rumors about the underground tunnels that connect the school to the Alamo or whatever?" "No, I'm serious," Devin insisted. "They're real. I heard Mr. Callahan talking about them to Principal Flores last week. He said something about an old maintenance entrance in the basement of the gym." We didn't take him seriously at first, but curiosity got the better of us, and by the time ditch day rolled around, we'd decided to see if the tunnels actually existed. Getting into the school on ditch day was easy. The campus was nearly empty, save for a few teachers and students who hadn't bought into the tradition. We slipped into the gym unnoticed, laughing and joking as Milo picked the lock to the maintenance room. The basement was colder than we expected, with a faint smell of mildew in the air. It didn't take long to find the entrance, a rusted metal hatch tucked behind a stack of old gym equipment. "Devin, you're a genius," Kayla said as we pried it open, revealing a narrow, dark staircase leading down. "Ladies first," Jamie joked, motioning for me to go. "Yeah, no thanks," I said, nudging him forward. With our phone flashlights as our only source of light, we descended into the darkness. The stairs seemed to go on forever, and by the time we reached the bottom, my chest was tight with unease. The tunnel was everything we'd hoped for. Creepy, mysterious, and full of possibilities. The walls were lined with crumbling bricks, and old pipes ran along the ceiling. The air was damp and carried a faint metallic tang, like rust or blood. "Think this really goes to the Alamo?" Milo asked, his voice echoing. "Only one way to find out," Devin said, leading the way. We walked for what felt like hours, our laughter and jokes fading as the tunnel grew darker and the air heavier. The only sound was the distant drip of water and the occasional scuttle of rats. That's when we found the first strange thing. It was a room off to the side, hidden behind a rotting wooden door. Inside were rows of old filing cabinets and a single desk covered in papers. Kayla shone her flashlight over the documents, revealing names, addresses, and photographs, mostly of young girls around our age. "What the hell is this?" Jamie muttered, flipping through the files. I don't like this, I said, my stomach turning. We should go. But Devin was already moving deeper into the tunnel. Come on, don't chicken out now. We're just getting started. It wasn't long before we realized something was wrong. Devin, who had been walking ahead of us, suddenly stopped and turned around. Did you hear that? He asked, his voice tight. Hear what? Kayla said, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Footsteps, Devin said, behind us. We all froze, straining to hear. At first, there was nothing. Then, faintly, the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Probably just rats, Milo said, but his voice was shaky. Let's keep moving, I said, gripping Jamie's arm. We picked up the pace, the laughter and jokes long gone. The footsteps continued, always just behind us, no matter how fast we walked. Then Devin vanished. 1 second he was there, walking ahead of us. The next, he was gone, his flashlight clattering to the ground. Devin! Kayla screamed, rushing forward. But there was nothing. No sign of him. No sound, just an oppressive silence that pressed against my ears. Where did he go? Jamie whispered, his face pale. We have to get out of here, I said, my voice trembling. We stood there in stunned silence, staring at Devin's flashlight on the damp tunnel floor. The faint beam of light flickered as if mocking us, casting eerie shadows on the brick walls. He's messing with us, Jamie said, his voice shaking but forcedly confident. Devin's trying to scare us. That's all this is. Kayla wasn't buying it. No, this isn't like him. She bent down, picking up the flashlight and shining it into the darkness ahead. Devin, stop playing around. But there was no response, only the sound of dripping water echoing through the tunnel. We should go back, I said firmly. This isn't worth it. Devin's probably fine, but we need to get out of here and call someone. We're not leaving him, Milo snapped, his jaw tight. He's probably just up ahead. Let's keep going. Reluctantly, we pressed on, walking in tense silence. Every step seemed to echo louder than the last, and the oppressive atmosphere made it hard to breathe. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. After what felt like hours of wandering, we stumbled upon another strange room. This one was larger, with arched ceilings and remnants of old furniture scattered around. A single rusted lantern hung from a chain in the center, its glass cracked but intact. Kayla's flashlight caught something carved into the wall, symbols that looked ancient and sinister. Beneath them were words scratched into the brick. The hollow judge's rule below. What does that even mean? Jamie muttered, tracing the carvings with his fingers. It means we're leaving, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. But Milo had already found something else, a set of heavy chains bolted to the wall along with a pile of tattered clothing. The sight of it made my stomach churn. What is this place? Kayla whispered, her voice barely audible. Before anyone could answer, the faint sound of whispering filled the room. We froze, our flashlights darting around the chamber, but there was no one there. The whispering grew louder, overlapping into an unintelligible cacophony that made my head spin. I don't like this, Kayla said, backing toward the tunnel entrance. Suddenly, the whispering stopped, replaced by a deep, guttural groan that seemed to come from the very walls. Run! Milo yelled, grabbing Kayla's arm and pulling her toward the exit. We sprinted down the tunnel, our footsteps pounding against the damp floor. I didn't dare look back, too afraid of what I might see. We turned a corner, and that's when we realized Jamie wasn't with us. Jamie! Kayla screamed, skidding to a halt. I turned back, my chest heaving with panic. "Jamie, where are you?" There was no response, just the faint echo of our voices. "He was right behind us," Milo said, his face pale. "He was just—" The groan returned, louder this time, vibrating through the walls. It was as if the tunnel itself was alive, closing in around us. Kayla started crying, clutching my arm. "This is wrong. This whole place is wrong." "We're leaving," I said, grabbing Milo by the shoulder. "We're getting out of here right now." The three of us pressed on, our breaths ragged and uneven. The tunnel seemed different now, less like the one we'd entered, and more like a labyrinth. Corners appeared where there hadn't been any before, and the faint sound of rushing water echoed from impossible directions. "Where the hell are we?" Milo asked, his voice breaking. "I don't know," I said, glancing over my shoulder. "But we need to find the way out. Stay close." Kayla nodded, her face pale and tear-streaked. She hadn't let go of my arm since Jamie disappeared, and I didn't have the heart to pull away. As we turned another corner, the air grew colder, and the faint metallic smell we'd noticed earlier became overpowering. The walls were slick now, almost glistening, and the light from our flashlights barely seemed to penetrate the thick darkness. And then we saw it. A door. It was out of place. Clean, modern, and gleaming white, in stark contrast to the crumbling brick walls. There was no handle, just a narrow slot at eye level. "What is this?" Milo asked, stepping closer. "Don't," I warned, but he didn't listen. He peered through the slot, his breath fogging the surface. For a moment, he said nothing, and then he stumbled back, his face twisted in horror. "What did you see?" Kayla asked, clutching my arm tighter. I don't know," Milo stammered. There were people, faces, but they weren't normal. Before we could stop him, he moved forward again, this time pressing his ear to the door. "Milo, stop!" I yelled, but it was too late. The door swung open, and a blinding white light spilled into the tunnel. Milo staggered forward as if drawn by an invisible force, his eyes wide and unblinking. "Milo!" Kayla screamed, reaching for him. But as soon as he crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut, the light vanishing in an instant. "No!" Kayla pounded on the door, her sobs echoing in the tunnel. "Bring him back! Bring him back!" I pulled her away, my hands trembling. "We have to keep moving." "But Milo—" "He's gone," I said, my voice breaking. "We can't help him." We wandered aimlessly after that, the oppressive silence broken only by Kayla's quiet sobs. My flashlight started to flicker, the beam growing weaker with every step. "Do you hear that?" Kayla whispered suddenly, stopping in her tracks. I strained my ears, and sure enough, there was a sound. Faint at first, but growing louder. It was the distant echo of laughter. "It's them," Kayla said, her voice trembling. "It has to be Devin and Jamie, maybe even Milo." "No," I said, shaking my head. "That's not them. That's something else." But she didn't listen. Before I could stop her, she took off down the tunnel, her flashlight bouncing wildly. "Kayla, wait!" I yelled, chasing after her. The tunnel seemed to stretch endlessly, the laughter growing louder and more distorted with every step. It wasn't until I rounded a corner that I realized Kayla was gone. When Kayla vanished, I was alone. The oppressive darkness seemed to swallow the tunnel, and my flashlight flickered dangerously. My hands trembled as I clutched it like a lifeline, the faint beam casting grotesque shadows on the walls. The laughter that had lured Kayla was gone now, replaced by a low, guttural hum that vibrated through the floor. The tunnel itself seemed alive, the walls shifting subtly as if breathing. I ran. I didn't know where I was going, but instinct took over. Every corner looked the same. Every intersection a cruel repetition of the last. My chest burned, my legs ached, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. Eventually, I stumbled into a large, open chamber. The ceiling was high, disappearing into the darkness above, and in the center was a massive stone table, surrounded by strange symbols carved into the floor. The metallic smell was stronger here, and I noticed dark stains on the stone that made my stomach turn. This was it, the heart of the tunnels. I heard a voice then, faint and echoing, like a distant whisper carried on the wind. It wasn't in English, but the tone was clear, commanding, sinister, and inhuman. I backed away slowly, my flashlight flickering again. Then, from the shadows, I saw them. Figures in dark robes emerged, their faces obscured by hoods. They moved silently, like ghosts surrounding the table. I pressed myself against the wall, my heart hammering in my chest. One of them stepped forward, holding a large, ornate blade. In the dim light, I could see it glinting, its surface etched with runes that seemed to shimmer. Before I could think, I turned and ran. I don't remember how I found the exit. One moment, I was running through endless tunnels. The next, I was crawling out of a storm drain near the edge of town. The bright sunlight stung my eyes, and the fresh air burned my lungs. I stumbled into the road, waving my arms wildly until a passing car screeched to a halt. The driver, an older man, stared at me like I was a ghost. "Help me," I gasped, collapsing onto the pavement. I woke up in the hospital hours later, my parents at my side. I told them everything, the tunnels, the disappearances, the robed figures, but they didn't believe me. No one did. The police launched a half-hearted investigation, but they found no evidence of tunnels beneath the school. Devin, Jamie, Milo, and Kayla were written off as runaways, their names added to the growing list of missing persons in the area. But I knew the truth. I started researching obsessively, piecing together fragments of information. Cypress Ridge High had a long history of unexplained disappearances, dating back to its construction in the 1950s. And Principal Flores? He'd been accused of misconduct years ago in another district, but the charges were mysteriously dropped. I found whispers of a human trafficking ring tied to powerful local figures, businessmen, politicians, even school officials. The tunnels were part of it, a hidden network used to move their victims unseen. And then there were the rituals. I stumbled upon a forum where others shared similar stories. Underground chambers, strange symbols, robed figures performing ceremonies. Some linked it to ancient cults, others to secret societies that thrived in the shadows. The more I dug, the more I realized I was in over my head. The harassment started small. My computer would crash unexpectedly, files disappearing from my desktop. Then my phone began receiving strange calls, static-filled messages and whispers I couldn't understand. One night, I found a letter slipped under my door. It was blank, except for a single line. "Stop digging, or you'll end up like your friends." I ignored it, determined to expose the truth. But then the threats escalated. A brick was thrown through my bedroom window with a note attached. "This is your last warning." One night, I came home to find my house ransacked. Nothing was stolen, but everything was destroyed, every drawer emptied, every piece of furniture overturned. On the wall, scrawled in red paint, was a chilling message. "You can't stop us." I knew then that I couldn't win. Whoever was behind this was powerful, untouchable. They had eyes everywhere and weren't afraid to destroy me to protect their secrets. I stopped talking about the tunnels, stopped researching, stopped trying to make anyone believe me. I deleted my social media accounts and changed my phone number. But the nightmares didn't stop. I still dream about the tunnels, the laughter, the robed figures. I see my friends' faces, hear their voices calling out to me. Sometimes I wake up with the faint scent of metal in my nose and the feeling that someone is watching me. Years later, I still live in San Antonio, though I've avoided Cypress Ridge High like the plague. I drive past it sometimes, staring at the gym where we first found the hatch. The building seems to loom, as if daring me to return. I'll never go back, but sometimes, late at night, I wonder if the tunnels are still there, beneath the school, the city, stretching endlessly into the darkness. And I wonder if Devin, Jamie, Milo, and Kayla are still down there somewhere, waiting for me to come back. I hope they're not, because if they are, it means they're not alone.